Hello, everybody. I'd like to thank you all for joining us in this discussion today. And just to think, a year ago, this was kind of our last normal week, and nobody had any idea what was coming. And having been in operations at the time at one of South Africa's largest retail groups, I'm very grateful to the BPESA team and the DTIC for ensuring that even then we were able to function as an industry, albeit in a very different way. A year later, and some people are still expecting it to return to normal. But the normal we knew is not the normal that is going to exist in the future. We've been forced into a new normal. And while it has been a devastating journey for some, it has been a journey of growth and of learning for most. We've realized that we are more resilient than we thought, and we have finally understood the power of technology to enable business continuity, expansion, and the power to make mundane and often tedious processes more streamlined and efficient. And in a way, while we were finding a way of pushing forward and adjusting to this new world, we were simultaneously creating a new way of working, which has proven for most in our industry, locally and internationally, a more cost effective way of doing business while ensuring the safety of our most prized assets, our people. So before I continue, I just want to give us a couple of guidelines. We're hoping for a pretty interactive session with you all today. And I ask that you please raise your hand at the end of the session if you'd like to contribute either via questions or if you would like to contribute any comments. We also ask that you fully participate in the polls that we have prepared and use the chat functionality to pose any questions that you have during the discussion. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to our two guests who have generously contributed towards the thought leadership resources and who will be engaging us in a discussion around the hybrid workplace for a resilient organization. Let me start by introducing you to Manish Raj, Vice President, Global Sales and New Initiatives at MovingSync. Manish is a subject matter expert in hybrid workplaces. He is an industry veteran with 25 years of extensive experience in enterprise software as a service in industries like travel, commute, and facility management. Manish, want to greet our attendees?
Thank you so much, Shona. Good afternoon, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it's such a pleasure to be on this platform today. And thank you so much to BPESA for giving us this opportunity to interact with all of you today and take this discussion forward. Yes, as Shona has spoken it out very well and informed how things have changed just in a year's time, and how the world has moved towards and the organizations have moved and changed the way they were functioning in the past, and the new normal or the current periods are going to be looking at a completely different, a very resilient organization, an organization which is going to optimize on its spaces that they are utilizing, their employees that they're going to utilize, and the technology is going to play a very, very pivotal role in terms of managing this. So I look forward to have a good discussion around it and possibly be of assistance to the companies in South Africa. I think it's one of the most vibrant countries that I have spent and visited, and the kind of talent and skills that I have seen there. I'm sure the industry, in particular, GBS industry, is having a very good time at this point in time, and there's no reason to back down. And so, therefore, we are just here to ensure that we are able to take the journey ahead. So, thank you once again for this, Shona.
Awesome. Thank you, Manish. And yes, I have to agree with you. South Africa is an absolutely vibrant country. Now, secondly, I would like to introduce you to Ujwal Trivedi, an associate director at MovingSync. He is a respected persona in the product management fraternity. He comes with 15 years experience in building digital products for enterprise and consumer markets. Over to you, Ujwal.
Hey, thanks for the generous introduction, Shana. Yeah, happy to be a part of this, and looking forward to learn from your questions, from all the participants, and happy to help in maybe sort of discussing some case studies on how we are solving some of the problems in the new normal.
Absolutely awesome. So right now, I just want to pass on to Manish and ask you if you can maybe set the context for today.
Sure, Shona. Thank you so much. So, what has happened, and as I was just talking a while back, in the period, in the overall period of time that we have spent, and this slide just sets a context here because what we have done is taken the voice globally from various industry leaders, from the likes of companies like the LinkedIn's and the Wipros and Infosys and many other companies like Colliers who have been very directly involved with regard to getting employees, managing the facility management of various large companies. What we have seen in the last 1 year has been this complete shift in the way we operate. And somewhere in November or December of 2020, we came up with this thought paper around how industries are functioning. And one of the very interesting part of all of this, which has happened, is that globally everybody was facing the same challenge. Globally, the challenges of return to office was same. The fears were same. The restrictions or or the the restriction that one had to take in terms of managing the workplace or getting the employees back were similar. The same protocols were being followed everywhere. So we did come up with a thought paper, and this thought paper was primarily to look at from various CXOs we had discussed, and it was just a gist of various thoughts and views that were put across to us, and the solution around the same time that we had built. In fact, we started looking at the solution from the month of June last year, when we were looking at how do we get back to office, and then we built up some solution where we could ensure that the social distancing was being maintained and the employees were maintaining the required protocols in terms of a self-declaration of the health, the temperatures were being monitored, and the workplace was also no more the same workplace the way we were used to, where we were sitting close to each other, we were talking, walking, and meeting up with people. But in all of that, what was also happening is that we realized that there was a lot of inefficient space utilization which was happening. Uh, there was a lot of processes which were manual in, and therefore, and we had got used to it. There was an opportunity for technology to come in play because this whole concept of hybrid workplace or flexi working was taking place, and then companies were started operating out of their uh, with with distributed workplace. When I say distributed workplace, everybody was coming to one office earlier, and now everybody's home became an office, and so therefore companies had to align with that. The companies had to ensure that it was all seamless, and the thought paper was all about putting this perspective across as to how do we build a very vibrant, or I would say a very uh, robust hybrid work culture or hybrid workspaces or flexi workspaces which can give employees, and there are different personas here. There's one is the employee who is concerned directly here. There is a facility team which has to manage the entire workplace, the HR team which had to ensure that the employee's well-being is taken care, and the business itself also had to ensure that the operations or the running of the functions are not getting hampered in any manner. So to bring all of them put together, technology was the only platform which could do it, and therefore the whole idea of bringing in the technology element to it, or the workspace flexible or hybrid workplace, was to to talk to industry and give them the solution that could be provided, or discuss internally. So what we have seen also from the thought paper to now is that it has eventually, it keeps getting enhanced with so many digital tools also available, so which we will talk about in some time. So over to you.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Manish. It's very interesting because as South Africa navigated through the various stages of lockdown, we also had to adjust to the regulations, the slow return of people back into offices, and for most on a rotational basis. And as an industry, the hybrid model or the hybrid workplace was born. But when it was born, we were not equipped to deal with it, not emotionally, and by no means from a technology perspective or from a process perspective. We were learning as we were going. We were changing this plane mid-air, so to speak. And having been part of this group of people, I can definitely affirm the Giant Leap survey results. And I can say with certainty that South Africa as a whole would like to return to the office. We how we do it is essentially going to make the difference in terms of continuity, productivity, and safety. So I think we should engage our attendees right now, and I think we should kick off with the first poll. So this particular poll talks to around whether your organization is ready to adopt a hybrid work culture. Apart from being prepared for the technology aspects, apart from being prepared from a process perspective, the culture encompasses all of these things. So is your organization ready from a people, process, and technology perspective to adopt this hybrid work culture? And we'll just allow some time for people to give us their responses, and we'll then have Sam screen up the response from everybody. Manish, how soon were you guys able to get ready for the culture shift?
Uh, when we started, we had the work to go, and therefore, and we had to business up and running, and it was also very important at that point in time was to ensure that the employees are together and they were working together toward, and they were not feeling the pressure of that nothing is moving, and how what's the world going to look like. So I think this was a pivot that we did at that point in time, because infrastructurally the organization was always a technology platform, and all we had to do is what we were doing on the road, as in move and sing. We were aligning people or managing employee movements on a moving street in the vehicles. We now then looked at how do we manage, and some of the critical parts were office entry, the desk booking managements, and the cafeterias and the meeting rooms. So we went block by block and then fixed it up, because the office entry itself was a big challenge for many companies, the self declaration form, the paper, and it was not scalable at all. So yes, that's what we did, and that's what we decided, let's try it first with us.
Perfect. Yeah. So the results are in, and it's quite interesting to see that a large number of people are ready for the hybrid workplace. And there's somewhat of a disconnect in terms of the results in terms of readiness and what's actually happening on the ground. And I think for South Africa, it's because we're still navigating between level 1 and 3, and that's been like that for the last kind of 3 months, I'd say. So our weekly COVID survey that we run, and I mean, it's a really important survey that we run. So we like to encourage all of our attendees and all of the players within our industry to continue reporting, because it gives us these great insights where we've been able to see 57% of our workforce coming back on site and 43% who are still working from home. And this reinforces the thinking around a hybrid workplace. And with 89% of our attendees being ready for it from all aspects of that culture, it really is missing. So what we've also seen is that only 29% of companies have more than 80% of their on-site capacity being utilized. So Manish, tell me, how does this SA trend compare to the global trends?
Uh, so the trend in South Africa is not much different from what is happening globally. Like I said in my opening statement, we are. This is one thing which is very catastrophic, but it has also united everybody together in the same blow. But having said that, there is a South Africa has been since we have been also catering to some of the clients that are there, and we have seen the trends how people have been coming back. There are two kinds of, if you see this graph, there are two kinds of trends that you see. One which is showing how employees are coming back to work over a period of last 6 months, and if you see, almost like 80-85% of employees have been coming back to the most large GBS companies or BPOs, which have, and again it depends on the companies or the GBS companies projects that they're working on or the customer that they're catering to. So you would see one side of it, the top one, you will see the large companies have been returning on that. The second one, if you see the graph, that's very interesting again, is because you'll see that there is a growth happening. People, companies on month, the numbers are either going up or remaining same. But what you interestingly see here is that there are certain set of companies who are only bringing a certain set of employees, the mandatory resources who have to come to office, whose business is not getting affected if the employees are going to be working from home, or if they adopt the hybrid work culture. So they just get the resource, the key important resource at this point in time, who for the reviews or for the collaborations part, whichever it is, and therefore those these are the number of employees that some of these companies are calling. Like I said, it again depends on the company's nature of business, what they are in. But the largely, if you see South Africa's nature of business, or the companies that they have been, the nature of business requires them to cater to their employees or customers. Sorry, they require to their customers, catering to different geographies that they are, and most employees are required to come back to office. And these numbers are actually staggeringly high compared to other countries. If you see, possibly if you see US isn't come back completely. India, we are not seeing so many employees coming back. 80% is not coming back right now. Philippines, 80% is not coming back right now. Egypt, 80% is not coming back right now. But in South Africa, there has been quite an excitement in terms of people with interest to come back. It can be various reasons for employees to look at again coming back to office. It can be social reasons as well. Reasons as well. It can be infrastructure issues as well, and it can also be the business requirement. So therefore, the trends are quite positive, encouraging, and also it shows a very different trend parallelly, where you come when you are required. Otherwise, you're free to work from home.
Yeah. So I think some of us are just running away from our kids. They drive us crazy in South Africa.
But I guess the traffic in Cape Town or traffic in Johannesburg are changing. It's like it's increasing now on the road.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that. Thanks,
Yes.
Manish. Thanks for sharing that. So I think I want to expose our attendees to a second question. And the second question is, do you think that automation and technology can facilitate in streamlining this new hybrid work culture? Is there a need for that? We'll just allow the guys some time to go through that. It's always interesting to see how, when pushed to the edge, as humankind, we're able to adjust. If you had asked anybody in South Africa a year ago whether they were prepared to take their call centers to a work from home solution, I probably think maybe 10% would have agreed. But in the thick of things, we were all able to very quickly get computers home, whether we were driving big boxes in cars to houses and setting them up there. But it really is commendable that as a country, our sector was able to really stand on its own 2 feet.
No, absolutely. And I think one of the important, because I have also been in touch with a lot of facility heads and the team which was running, which actually becomes the backbone, and they have been on the ground all the time. I have friends now, I would say, some of them who have been personal adversities at home, but they were still handling their offices, and the kind of effort that they were putting. Certainly there was this need of arranging transportation for employees, and that is a big challenge. Anybody who manages transport in their companies for employees like this can understand the pain, how difficult it is when you have to do it manually, because you have to maintain the health, the social distancing, the employees not getting affected. So it's a mind-boggling thing, and I think some of the facility heads that I know have been going through very tough time, ensuring, which is not visible to many people in the front, but these are the warriors, I would say, who actually stand behind the companies and who make it happen. So
True.
they deserve a very big salute for this.
Yeah, it was quite a tough journey back then to try and coordinate all of these and get schedules for people in, and changing schedules at the last minute.
Absolutely,
So
and
the
you can see the poll result. Interestingly,
yes,
everybody says that technology is the way forward.
100%. And I think this will be a nice segue for us to start chatting to Ujjwal,
Yes.
because he's the tech guy, right? So Ujjwal, I think, can you talk to us a little bit about the technology as an enabler for this hybrid workplace?
Sure, definitely. So I'm sure everyone is already using a lot of technology because that is what enabled the work from home in the first place. All right, it says I can't start my video, and these are also some of the problems I'm sure everyone's come across. So yeah, I'll have to speak, in dark. All right, okay, start my. All right, I got it. I hope you can see me now. But
Yes.
yeah, you see what happened, and I'm sure you would have you that's a daily grind, right? With technology, that that while it enables, it also engages us in certain ways that we don't probably want to. So yeah, what we've seen is that there's a very strong push in automation. A lot of people are trying to automate the manual processes because automation is, of course, faster, cheaper, and it has always been that. But now there's an additional value that it is safer, right? Because you're not touching a lot of things. It is, most of it is contactless, and that adds to that safety aspect. And you're not, not doing a lot of paperwork, which is exchanging a lot of different hands. And because of that, it is also very environment friendly. So yeah, I think there are so many benefits to automation that we see. While transport, and that's what has been our forte for last 11 years. While the transport was not working, or like nobody was actually commuting, we saw a very high interest in the new clients that we've signed up in the last 6 to 7 months. So I mean, that is a very clear indication that a lot of people are looking at solving their existing problems with technology. And of course, as I said, that COVID has given that additional angle of safety, that is also a parameter now.
Okay, I was struggling to get unmuted, so the technology issues don't stop. But yeah, I agree with you. It has been quite a journey and an opportunity to be able to start looking at what can be used as we digitize this hybrid workplace. Manish, do you quickly want to just jump in and tell us about this digitized hybrid workplace? Because having been out of operations now for about 6 months, I'm really not keeping up to speed with what's happening on the ground, so to speak. I know that there's a lot of work that goes in the background. I know what work we've had to put in, having been in the background, working on schedules, working on staff transport routes, making sure you can get staff from the same location into the same shift for the same kind of work that needed to get done. And all of it was done manually. So I was up till 9, 10 o'clock at night, working from a Friday to a Sunday, trying to get out my schedules to staff. Talk to me about this new digitized hybrid workplace.
So, what do you mean by digitized hybrid workplace? And just to give a perspective of this, is that today, like I said, today it's a distributed workspace. So employees are working from home, and the employees are working from office. Now, companies are looking at not bringing the entire set of employees to work, as into office. So they're looking at having only the people who are required to work from office for collaboration, for reviews. They're not looking at that they need to come to office every day so they can work from home. But shifting to something like that isn't that very easy as well, unless you have the tools and solutions handy which can help you with let's look at it. What is the biggest challenge? And if I remember about 5 months back, when we were talking in another BPSA forum earlier, one of the biggest challenges at that point in time, which was being faced when the companies were reopening the office, was managing this daily office return. When they were bringing in the employees, they had to fill the paper, submit it every day. Somebody had to record the temperature, mention it in paper, maintain a logbook. And some government official, you have to possibly, there's a department which was created called health and safety, and they had to ensure that all required measures are being taken. Now imagine that is so cumbersome, because you have to store those paper, you have to submit those documents, and you have to ensure that it's in place. And anything missing, and then you have to do contact tracing. Who came to that office, who they met with, who did they sat with, and manually, I don't remember how many people I met, right? In general, on a general normal day, I would have
Yeah.
met people. I wouldn't have met somebody, but he would probably be standing behind me, and I don't know if he had any virus or not. So it's very difficult to imagine in that manner. Imaginations was not required. It was more, planning was required, and planning was something that companies were looking at. And what were those challenges that they were facing? One is, how do we get this contactless access management? And when I say access management, it was not just about entering the office, getting the temperature. You have to ensure that they are wearing a mask, they have sanitized their hands, you have to ensure that they have those facilities at office, and employees have to be recorded with the mask on. They were using the cafeteria or they were going into the meeting room. How do they look at as a contact list? How do they find where what is available? See, look at it in the past, employees, when you just visualize it this way, in the past, when we were looking at coming to office, we had to search for a meeting room. How much time you used to spend on searching a meeting room? How much time we used to look for? If today I have to look for Ujjwal, where is Ujjwal sitting? I don't know. But today I know where he's sitting because I know which desk he is occupied today. But in 1 year back, I was not. I didn't know where is
Yeah.
Preeti sitting because if I have to collaborate. So these informations are required. So we're talking about a contactless access environment. We're talking about flexi desking, which means how many today which colleagues are coming to office or who are working from home. Accordingly, I can plan my day. The sanitizing trigger that you have to do, the facility team ensures that the housekeeping is ensuring that all desks are being sanitized. Now, how do you record that? Employee scheduling, rostering, because you have to do the rostering for them so that they don't have to come to every day, but they can come on alternate days. They can come 4 times in a month, and then you have to ensure that transportations are being provided, because public transport you still don't want to uh, trust, because you don't know who you're traveling with. At least the companies are providing employee transportation so that you can contain the virus spread and things like that. You have to also ensure that the employee eligibility is identified, which means the employee self declaration has to be in place, and you need to also have a real time visibility. So somebody like a facility head also wants to see which space, which how many desks have been booked today, how many people are there, so I can arrange for food, or I can arrange for coffee for them, or my washrooms are adequately stocked with sanitizers or soaps or things like that. So those real-time visibility also required. Now imagine all of that manually. It's very very difficult in a time like this. And also your office commute. So which is actually a very important criteria, because staff transportation eventually has become a very very important tool for employees to come back, and companies are looking at providing that because it is a requirement for the business. So let me do this, Shona. What I spoke right now, let me show you on an actual platform as to how this really operates. And I would request Ujjwal to come in. And Ujjwal, if you can just take everybody quickly on how digitally this whole thing can be done.
Yeah, I think that'll be really great, Manish,
Yes.
because hearing you say it and having experienced it is two
Yes.
different things. When we were in the thick of things, we were doing these things by ourselves.
Right.
So we were literally planning and going through. You had no time to think. As somebody sitting in the background orchestrating all of this, you couldn't think. You literally had to run and make things happen. And now that I'm sitting back and hearing you talk about everything that needed to have been done, I agree with you. It was a nightmare to manage manually. So I'm really looking forward to seeing which will take us through the
Yes.
system.
Over to Ujjwal.
Sure, sure. So I'll just quickly share my mobile screen. 1 second. Right, I hope you can see that. I'll just quickly bring up the application. All right, so typically, I mean, if you like when you wake up, I'm talking about pre 2020. You wake up, you think about, okay, I have to go to office, let me have breakfast, pack my bags, go to office. Now things have changed, sort of for good, right? So what we have seen is that every day you wake up, you're actually thinking whether should you be going to office today, or and if you want to go to office, you have to actually think about, is your team coming to office? And there are so many other new questions that sort of come into your mind. And there is, so hybrid, while is the way to go, to be honest, in our research we found that if everyone is going to be struggling with getting it right, because it is a lot of chaos, right? And there are a bunch of different. So while we are sort of every company is offering hybrid as a convenience to the employee, there is a bit of compliance angle that where people want some days that people should show up, while some days they may not want to show up and things like that. Then there are other things where people have their own ideas about when they want to go to office and when they do not want to go to office. So there are a bunch of new criteria that have come, new complexities that have come, and we have, as I said, we just technology can solve a bit of it. A lot of it has to be solved from other processes and other interventions that I'm sure we all are going to discover in due course. But let me quickly show you how as an employee, how you can quickly either work from check how either check working from home or working from office. So let me select working from office. Let's select, these are the times that we have in India right now. So let me select time, apply. If you are using office commute, you can check one of these options of office transport. And if you're not, you can just, if you're driving on your own vehicle, you can select the parking that you're going to be using, and then you can go choose your desk. All right, so yeah, you can quickly select a seat and done, right? Just made a booking. Simple as that.
Ujjwal, can you also quickly go back and show who's sitting next there, if they can have a visual?
Yeah, let me actually take that opportunity to also show the web interface. So just give me 1 second. Let me quickly pull in the. Okay, stop sharing this. Start sharing my desktop. All right, I hope you all can see my screen. All right, so I have a bunch of offerings there. So yeah, quickly you can see the trends of attendance. So as a manager or as an admin, you can see what's happening around. How many people are working from home today, or how many are in office, and what's happening. So all the recent activities also come in here. This is a quick dashboard, but what you wanted to see was this, where I can make a booking. So let me search for my colleague. Right. Let's see, where's she? Okay. All right, this is where Manvi is seated. So it tells me that she checked in at around 11 a.m. today, and she's seated here, right? So I can probably, and also alternate seats, as you can see, alternate seats are grayed out and they cannot be booked. So even if I click on it, nothing would happen. But I can click on this seat, this desk, and I can book that. And CD3 is available. I can select the parking, and I'll just quickly also show you how the parking kind of shows up. So you can see there are a bunch of parking slots that are already taken. I can select one of them. I think I'll go with the one that is free, and yeah, and then book a parking as well. And then I'll just go back and quickly show you in the. All right, when I'm so I'll just quickly show you how, as a manager, you can, as a manager or as a workspace administrator, you can see who is in the office, how many desks are occupied. So you see all these green dots, they are all people who have come in and checked into office, all these, so seats like this. So there's this gentleman Rishabh who has actually made a booking but hasn't shown up, right? So you see the entire floor plan is visible, and you can also see who is sitting where, and you can see who, like how many people have actually also checked in, how many people are no shows, right? So this gives you a quick view of what are the allocation team wise, which teams are allocated, what kind of seats. This can also give you okay, let me show you that. Flexibility to, okay, so you saw the floor plan. I'll also show you a view where you would be able to pretty much determine where all right, okay, so see this is the list view of all the seats, that all the desks that are available, and see how we have hot desk, a bunch of seats. Some of these seats are allocated to the technology team, and this is my seat, which being an admin, I kind of allocated one to myself for all weeks. But you can pretty much restrict who can do these things. You can also assign this seat to, say, a team, an employee, or you can make it a hot desk where anyone can use it, or you can block it, right? So let me see if I can yep. So there are a bunch of teams, and I can maybe assign this seat to the operations, and done. So this seat is now, for this entire week of 22 to 28, is allocated to one team, right? And so all right, so there are a bunch of different reports. So you talked about contact tracing. I can actually go back in time if I figure out that there is a person that has now recently been, identified with COVID symptoms. I can quickly check on who visited office at what time, and who were they sitting next to, and all of these reports are downloadable, and you can access them and figure out, trace contacts, and do things like that. We also have a way for, so you talked about meeting rooms, Manish. You also have a way to quickly see the different meeting rooms, and how are they placed, like if they're occupied or they're available, and folks can actually, as an admin you can, so yeah, as an admin, most of the calendars like Google Calendar or Outlook, they don't give you a view like this where you can see all the meeting rooms, and you cannot see all the availability, and what amenities are available in which meeting room, and all of this. So we've just made that simple, but you can still integrate with the Outlook of the world, or the Google Calendar for making the booking. So employees can continue to book the calendar and the meeting rooms based on whatever favorite calendar service they have, but they can have this view to enhance their experience further, and admins have this view, and front of office can use this view, if they're getting requests on the phone call. So yeah, a bunch of these quick features that I wanted to talk about. And of course you talked about checking employees readiness, and and willingness to come to office. So you can pretty much select folks who are not ready, and you can send them some notifications, and you could ask them questions around, are they eligible to come to office or not. So yeah, while I talked about those things, let me also quickly show you how, well, like once you have made okay, let me stop sharing and then start sharing the mobile again. Right. Okay, so when you've made a booking, you can actually quickly generate a digipass that asks you to do a declaration about your health risks, right? So there are a bunch of questions that you can answer, and then accept, right? And then it would detect, or it would try detecting if you are wearing a mask. All right, I'm carrying one. Okay, let me see. It allows me now. Okay. All right. So now your DigiPass with the QR code is generated, and this is the QR code that you can now show to a kiosk device that we have, and you can get entry in a very contactless way. So yeah, that's the quick update on what all technology modules we have built and how we are solving bunch of these problems. So I remember one of the clients were struggling with the self declaration, because they employees used to queue up in front of the office with a lot of paper in hand, and now there are no queues anymore because everyone is doing it on their mobile phone and generating the QR code. So yep, I hope
Awesome.
that gave some perspective.
I just want to
Manish,
add
you wanted to
here.
jump?
Yeah, I just want to add here to the queue which he spoke about. Is that you can still say, okay, at the security gate desk, the security guard would be holding a temperature gun and he would have to still measure everybody's temperature and put it. There are certain other solutions that we have also built, which is using an IoT device, which can just place your hand on top of it and the temperature will get recorded and get populated against your name. So it's all seamless. There is no contact. You don't have to. Your security guard will only be there to ensure that everything is happening, but it's a free flowing thing. So employees can just come quickly, scan the QR code, which will just show you. Put your hand over the IoT device, and the IoT device then measures your temperature and populates it against your name. And somebody, like, let's say somebody sitting in WNS or Sigma SA or any of these companies, that admin teams are sitting there, they can just pull out the report and see, okay, who all have come, what was the temperature today. So it's easy for them. So there's a lot of enough data for them to plan things around after that.
Yeah. I found myself several times wanting to click on the screen that Ujjwal was to try and play with the technology.
Please.
It's the ops in me. It never leaves. But it really does look like a seamless system, and I think you've catered for a lot of what we in operations would have looked for solutions for last year. I mean, some of it is so relevant, and not only does it help you with the booking system, I can also measure adherence. I saw on one of the screens that the person booked in to start a shift at 11 and only arrived at 11:17. So it really takes away the manual management of people. But what's key for me, and what I really, really loved, was the ability to message my people and to check in with my guys whether on their readiness to come back into the office. That's exceptional. I've dealt with several cases in operations where somebody had contracted the virus and they were at home for their period of time, but the fear and the anxiety that goes along with having had it is still there. So you've got to be people first, and you've got to be focused on your employees, and because they ultimately what helps us grow and what sustains us as an industry. So I want to know from our attendees, what are the top 3 challenges that you're facing at the moment in bringing people back to office? So there's a couple of options on the screen. You can tick more than one, and we'll give you slightly a bit of more time to go through them. When we talk about staff wellness, we talk about the staff readiness to come back into office, where the staff are fearful around contracting the virus, and staff mental wellness in terms of returning to office, especially if it's people that have contracted the virus or have lost family members, loved ones to the virus. They might feel a little bit more reluctant to come through. And that encompasses that particular option. So go through all of them really, and try and prioritize what for you are the top 3 challenges that you're facing as an organization to bring people back into the office.
And Shona, while the audience does the poll, I just want to bring in here also one of the other challenges most companies might be also facing is the cost of setting up the new normal or setting up the offices, right? So there's a lot of capital involved. So companies can be reluctant about the capex model, whether should we buy so many IoT devices, should I buy so many tracking devices, how do I ensure that my office is talking, the entire office is connected to each other.
Yeah.
That's how the connected offices means. People can have this thought that it will cost a huge amount as well. Now, there are solutions which are also very OPEX model. And what we are talking is an OPEX model. You don't have to invest on any hardware or any of the, except an IoT device maybe, but you don't have to invest on hardwares. You don't have to really struggle with what to put and how to fix it. It all works on a mobile phone using your tablet that you have in office, and very simple basic devices that are available today. The software on its own works seamlessly to ensure that you get all the relevant information data which can help you to decide further, or plan your day or business accordingly. So it doesn't hit your pocket so much as it might be hitting your mind in terms of the concerns that you may have with regard to the cost.
Yeah, yeah. And I also like that in our generation, everybody likes taking selfies, so they'll get to take a lot of selfies.
True. With the mask.
What's interesting here is that the staff wellness has come up with quite a big challenge. So 64% of the attendees noting staff wellness as an issue. And quite interestingly enough, the efficient utilization of office space.
Yes.
And I think that was that is actually our, did you know, is that 37% of workspaces during any given workday remains underutilized. So yeah, fantastic. So Manish, I think really so these challenges are widespread, right? How is this hybrid model being perceived by organizations and people in South Africa and globally? And what in your mind, now looking at the data from our attendees, what in your mind are the challenges that need to be addressed in the new model? Surely it's more than just the mechanics around functioning. We've seen it now. We've seen the poll results. It is staff wellness that is being top of mind. So you want to maybe touch on that a little bit?
Sure. See, in all of these steps or activity that one is doing, at the center of it are the employees, and that is the core concern, and for the companies, because also businesses are very people driven, and as well in the current times, and while the automation and the robotic processes may chip in, and these businesses are going to change, but that's not going to take people away. So your businesses are your activities are going to be just getting enhanced. So people definitely remain at the center of any activity that you're doing in terms of automation or digitization here. And uh, some of the challenges which possibly we will be facing, or companies would be facing today, is to adopt these solutions, the technology. While you might be wanting to do it, how should I do it, would be the question in your mind. Which is the best way? How do it also has a concern of the cost. It also has a concern of longevity. Will this be just till the COVID, or after COVID? Is it worth investing that much? And what do I do after COVID? But if you look at it, what has happened on the hindsight? Yes, like you saw in the poll as well, not entire office space is really utilized in the right completely, but the energy consumption is happening in all of that. So how do you, today companies have learned to get better ROI by limiting the utilization of the workspace or transport, or the area which is not in use, you can shut it down. The desk, because each desk that you are using is a cost center in itself. Because so today the companies have become more efficient in terms of how they can plan it. Uh, so the hybrid workplace is basically going to help you in addressing that challenge in terms of planning your workplace for a future. And automation is the current norm. Adopt it, and it's going to give you the ROI in the future in terms of your entire real estate, corporate real estate that you are utilizing it today. So therefore, you'll have to convert the offices into flexible workplace. We showed you the solutions how you could do that. It is about having a platform which can seamlessly connect the distributed offices, which means the employees can be connected on a single tool. You rightly said that you could now send communication to your team using the just a simple. You don't have to go to multiple apps. We have also enhanced in certain ways. This entire solution that you see can also work on Teams, Microsoft Teams, if you are using. It's also integrated with Slack. So there are a lot of digital tools which have been integrated with this. So you don't you're using any digital tool, you have a solution which is integrated with this, and therefore it is more vast in terms of utilization, and it's not limited to just an app. Secondly, so for ensuring that the employee well-being is monitored, like I said, if you're going to be making them stand in a queue to come into office and make them fill those forms, these are cumbersome processes. If you give them the confidence that company has taken enough measures to ensure that your health is being looked at and your temperatures are being monitored, and so is your other colleagues, because I might be fit, but I don't know if my colleague is fit or not, right? So if somebody sneezes in the floor today, it'll like, where is your mask? Where is your mask? Why are you not wearing the mask? So you need to ensure that these mask is also in place. Somebody has to record that you have to monitor that it's happening. And therefore utilization, we've already spoken about this space utilization, and technology will help you to actually have a better utilization of your office space, your real estate, your parking spots, your meeting rooms are being efficiently used, your cafeterias are efficiently being used, and only a certain number of people are allowed to go into cafeteria at a given point of time, so that you are able to maintain the social distancing. And you're also able to seamlessly transition the employees from the coming to office culture to working from home and office both. And you come when you are required, or you come when you think it is needed for you to come to office. Otherwise you can conveniently work from home. And that also has brought in flexibility in employees personal life as well, right? So employee today can take calls at any point of time now. Employee can also finish their some other work required at home, and will be available to work extended hours at point of time. You're no more restrained into a 9 to 6 kind of a job scenario. You're no more restrained to a shift kind of a job. So you are now more flexible. So I think technology and automation will help. It's not, I would not even say will or can. It is already helping a lot of companies across the globe. So it's about matter of time, when are you going to adopt it? And if you're not going to adopt it, this is the time for you to adopt, because you will be bringing in a huge difference to your own entire cost. The faster you adopt, the sooner you will see the results, and efficient your employees are going to be. And end of the day, employee satisfaction is critical. And the CXO is worried about the business continuity. CXO is worried about the employee health, and the CXO is also concerned about providing the amenities for the entire operations to run. So using this, you will be able to do plentiful things that you think of.
100%. And I like that it's so all encompassing. So, one last question from my side before I want to open up and hand over to our attendees for questions and comments. Since Moving Sync is known for its staff transportation technology solution, how do you see this shaping up with the current times and trends?
In fact, uh, it's it has only enhanced now in terms of the expectation of the customer with regard to staff transportation. It was just earlier, the staff transport is all about getting a vendor who could provide the transport and line it, and then get a technology solution which could help me to give a better visibility, faster in my process of managing the staff transportation, getting my routes in the right manner. But now your concerns are also to see that the employee is studying into the office, did he or she self-declared about her health? Is the vehicle sanitized or not? Is the area from where they're coming, is it COVID proof, or is that a containment zone? The EHS of the vehicles from the health and safety point of view. And when they're entering the vehicle, um, is that going to be a contactless OTP based sign in? Because our system could connect everything together, right? Now today on your mobile phone, when you're leaving from home, your journey from home to office to return can be done on one single app, and you can manage both the activities right from your transport management and your office management as well. So you can book your office space, you can book your seat in a cab, and the transport manager and the admin manager or the facility head can both seamlessly work toward getting the transportation place. In fact, we are seeing more calls coming in to us with regard to the transport, because more companies have started providing transport now to in South Africa. And also it's coming out to be costly, because if you're not going to be optimizing the routes and optimizing the vehicle and by taking the required measures, you're going to end up blowing a lot of money on that. I can take pride in saying that we have reduced cost of the companies who have already been using us across, whether it's in India, Cairo, or it is in South Africa. Companies have seen the advantage of adopting technology even in staff transportation, and that's what we are doing. But with a layer safety measures taken on top of it, so that you're not just looking at transport as a solution, as a service, but you're also ensuring that the employee wellness is being taken care in terms of this mode of vehicle that you're going to be using for commute.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. We've got about 4 minutes left, so I'd really love to thank Ujjwal and Manish for their time, and I'd like to open up the floor to the attendees for any questions or comments. So if there are anybody that wants to ask a question or make a comment, please just raise your hand, and we've got Sam and Tracy standing by to alert us of anybody. We'll just keep it open for about 30 seconds.
I hope the audience found our discussion interesting and useful and it could link to their daily operations which they're doing right now.
100%. Yeah, no, look, I definitely did. And having come from industry, I'm sure that the rest of the guys in the audience did get some value from it. So I think we're going to wrap. And before we do that, I really just want to thank Tracy. And I want to thank especially Sam and Pretty in the background for having helped put this together, and really extend a warm thanks to Ujjwal and Manish for the thought paper, for the thought leadership behind this, and for providing us with your time to really go through this unique offering that you've built. I think it could really change the way we do things and support our new hybrid workplace. Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
everybody.
Thank you, Shoana. I just wanted to conclude with one statement here, and for everybody to take away from what we do is basically, if you have noticed the entire solution, it offers you three important areas that we have covered: your risk, your employee satisfaction, and the cost element to it. So primarily on these three pillars is how the entire solution operates. It manages the risk from employee safety and the workplace safety in terms of the health and measures that you want to take. It certainly helps in optimizing the cost. And the third thing is it also looks at employee satisfaction, because healthy employees are happy employees and they are safe. I think there's a question here: how does your solution differ to Lula? Uh, that's the question which has come to us from one of the attendees. If I am not wrong, Lula is one of the solution available in South Africa, but it has to do with transportation, employee transportation. Uh, it's quite. Okay, so it's quite.
Manish, I guess it is a ride sharing,
Yes.
product, and it is, similar. So what we've got is, limited to, corporate employees. It is not for everyone, because when you're, you need that angle of safety of who you are sharing the ride with. So we limit it only to the corporates which either are working in a specific office hub or all are going to the same office. So we have a bunch of clients even in South Africa, but we provide only to the corporate employees. So you can be assured that the person sitting next to you, even if they are strangers, they are sort of an employee in the same org. So there's no safety concern. So that's one of the big differences, and there are a lot of others that would take another hour to explain. So
Yes, I would say it's pretty much agile. And if you've seen our transport solution or our work office solution also is much agile in terms of its approach, and it focuses more towards the direct requirement of the companies in terms of staff transportation, because you're not just doing a ride share, but you're also optimizing the routes. You are ensuring a faster and a safer mode of transport. We have something called a panic button, which can address to concerns of car hijacking, or you can create perimeters around an area where you don't want other vehicles to go in. So there are a lot of other solutions. We can always send you details, or you can write to us and we can reply separately for that.
Perfect.
Or else Bipesa will have to arrange for another webinar for just addressing that.
Thanks, Manish. Thanks, Ujjwal. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Before I send you on your way, I just want to make you aware of the fact that BPESA is aware of the employee wellness aspect, and that is one of the top challenges that our industry is facing at the moment. You'll be pleased to know that we are planning to run a webinar in the next couple of weeks and bring on a psychologist or two to come and talk to us about how we identify these problems, what we can do in the workplace, because we're not all skilled psychologists. We're not trained to identify these trends. And it'll be really great if we could have you all back then. Cheers, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday and have an awesome weekend.
Thank you, Shoana. Thank you, BPESA, for this. Thank you so much.
Absolute
And
pleasure.
thanks to the
Thanks,
audience
Manish.
for being a part of this. Thank you.
100%. Cheers, everybody.